Okay, wow. 20 hours ago, this post showed up on Reddit, where a molecular biologist claims to have worked directly on alien bodies. And within hours, the account was deleted, but the post remains. He gives in-depth information about their genetics and great detail about their anatomy. And surprisingly, many commenters chimed in. For that security level lab, it is accurate what he's saying about the facilities. And other biologists have come forward to say that at least his terminology is accurate and he doesn't appear to be LARPing. And after answering some more in-depth questions, his claims only became more convincing. Okay, so first and foremost, he never said alien. I'm saying that because they're my friends. He calls them exobiospheric organisms, EBO. He says the most interesting thing about their genetics is that it seems to be a combination of human, animal, and something unknown. And that these organisms appear to be partly artificial and actually designed to be disposable. As far as the guy himself, he said he was going to remain anonymous for the safety of himself and his family. The way that he ended up working for a national security contractor in this secret program, he shares how he ended up getting into this field. He said, completely unrelated, he was giving a presentation at some conference and ended up meeting someone who was one of the leading scientists on this program. He was offered a job in what appeared to be a regular facility, but he said the interview process was abnormal. There was 3 interviews with scientists, but that the interviews had very little to do with any science. On the 4th interview, he was offered the job, and that's when he signed his NDA. He said the most exciting part was actually going through the archives. He says there's no official database, that it was just a series of documents, memos, and reports. He said the actual job itself, he was very overqualified for, because if this wasn't such a high level of security, this is a job that a regular technician would have. He said the lab is in the basement of this facility in Maryland, which in the last few hours has been flooded with fake reviews, extremely strong smell of ammonia, but otherwise out of this world. I don't know if this has anything to do with the reason why the poster deleted his entire account. Also gets more in depth to the biosafety levels. Okay, so he says they have 4 bodies at this facility. They control the air for humidity and that they are kept inside vacuum bags. Also says that the bodies appear to have gone through a lot of trauma. He said he's never seen a motorcycle accident, but assumes this is what it would look like after, which leads us to believe that this could have been bodies retrieved from a crash. Okay, so let's get into all the details. He said DNA-wise, their cells are similar, which leads them to believe that there might be a common ancestry. What's really interesting is he says their genome is minimalist and highly condensed, and that this is coming from what appears to be genetic refinement, which led them to believe that this has to be in some way artificial, because there is no organism on Earth that has this level of elegance in the structure of their DNA. He said there is no evolutionary pressure can lead to this level of genetic refinement, and leads them to believe that the only thing could be genetic engineering. And he said to him, the most disturbing part, some aspects were so directly corresponded to human DNA that it had to be copied and pasted on there. Okay, now let's talk about their anatomy. He said that overall, these appeared to be pretty similar to what he called the grays that we see in folklore. He said that this gray skin is actually a biosynthetic film, protects them from their environment. He says that underneath that film is their actual skin, that it's very pale with no hair. Now, he clarifies that this was not his own experience, but what he read in reports, that when this film was initially removed, that it smelled like a combination of burnt hair and ammonia, that there was lots of pores and glands, and a countless amount of them. And he said based on their skinny neck, having no stomach, and no way to pass any foods, they have no urethra, no anus, it's believed that they excrete through the pores of their skin, and that's what causes the ammonia smell. Okay, he said the head had 2 oversized, large eyes. That these big black eyes that people talk about is also a biosynthetic film. And when the film is removed, it looks like a traditional eyeball, except 3 times the size of a human eyeball. That there's no eyelids, a light gray iris, and a black pupil. That their retina has 6 different types of cone cells, each of them for perceiving different wavelengths. He says they have 2 nostrils but no nose, a mouth but no lips, ear canals but no ears. That the ear canal is much more curved, and they speculate that this is to hear even lower frequencies than humans can. That their brains are 20% larger than a human's and is broken up into 4 sections. Their neck is very thin and has no vocal cords. That there is an esophagus and a trachea, but they are not connected to each other. The thorax is underdeveloped and you could see the ribs and the sternum. It appears that their bones do not grow. That instead of bone marrow, it appears to be some copper oxide crystals. They have 4 fingers, including an opposable thumb. They did have textured fingerprints, but it was in the shape of concentric circles. And that all the muscles to move the hand were in the hand, unlike humans where it goes up our arm. And he said the feet were the same way. Upon initially looking, it looked like there was only 2 toes. But at the muscular level, it also appeared to have 4 digits like the hand, but that 2 were fused into each. And that the feet were much longer than a traditional human's. This was an interesting question that he answered. Have you shared your information with this Senate Intelligence Committee or AARO or the Pentagon? Nope, I haven't and I won't be. It sounds like a honey trap. And I will not place my life in the hands of politicians. He also said there was documents about their religion and culture. All of the specimens that he worked on were already dead. So he says his knowledge on this is only coming from documents and that the author of those documents allegedly worked directly with one of these beings while it was alive. And according to those documents, this is what their religious beliefs are. That a soul is not individual, but a characteristic of nature that expresses itself as a field. And this over time will gain complexity, which will eventually lead to sentient life. This leads to the field expressing itself through sentient life. Then those beings are able to influence the field back and create a loop. And when that field reaches a critical mass, that the very field itself and the sentient beings within it will reach apotheosis. By definition, that means to reach a divine or deity level. Because with his background in biology, he can't really speculate what that entails. But he said it appears to be their main motive. That in practical terms, it's unclear what this would achieve. That according to the document, this has influenced their beliefs. That in their culture, there is no fear of death because all of that information will always remain in the field. However, it has also led them to have no respect for individual well-being. This apparent mission to achieve apotheosis of this field compels them to seed life, shape it, nurture it, monitor it, influence it, and manipulate it in any way that they need to in order to achieve apotheosis. I highly suggest going over there because he answered a lot of technical biological questions. So let me know in the comments how you feel like this aligns with a lot of the other information that we've gotten from abductees, from channelers, from insiders, from whistleblowers.